The answer to this question is complicated because there are many factors that weigh in on forest health. At Lake Tahoe, forest health is often dependent on the winter weather conditions and the resulting size of the snowpack. Also, European settlement at Lake Tahoe played an important role in the current forest health. During the Comstock lode logging era of the late 1800s, 80% of the forests at Lake Tahoe were cut down to support and fuel the silver mining industry in Nevada. This massive deforestation set the basin up for trees of limited size, age, and spatial diversity. This was followed by decades of fire suppression, which resulted in millions of crowded, stressed trees that compete for resources with other tightly knit trees. It sometimes takes significant natural or man-made events to really create change. In the 1990s, Tahoe experienced an extreme drought period, and the lake's surface level was the lowest ever recorded. Tahoe's forests also experienced an extreme mortality of trees. This caused forest managers to start regular tree maintenance in the form of tree thinning to reduce competition for sunlight, water, and nutrients, and create defensible space. Right now I'm in North Tahoe Regional Park, and you can hear the chainsaws behind me from the Rifle Peak trail crew that is doing dispensable space work, the results of which you can see right here. After the Angora fire in 2007, more intense prescribed burn efforts were put in place. Here you see a pile that will be burned later this fall or winter once the rain and snow starts. While these efforts are aimed at fuel reduction, they have also aided in recycling nutrients into the soil. Many of these efforts have resulted in healthier forests in Lake Tahoe than other forests in the Sierra Mountains. But are these forests healthy? As you can see, it depends on many factors and what happens next. Thanks for joining me today to talk about the health of Tahoe's forests.
Perhaps as you've been driving around Tahoe, you may have noticed dead trees along the side of the road. And if you are actually looking for it, they can be very easy to spot due to the fact that you have this stark brown contrast against our rich evergreen color that we're accustomed to associating with Tahoe forests. But there are a lot of factors that contribute to tree mortality in the basin. One of the obvious contributors to tree mortality is evidenced by the air quality that you see today, is wildfire. And wildfire leaves a very distinctive marker of blackened trees and fire scars, but not all factors are that easy to pinpoint. There are biotic challenges, things that are alive, such as insects, pathogens, fungi, other trees, and humans. And then there are the abiotic factors like wildfire and things like fire suppression, drought, and air pollution. With so many challenges, it's not surprising that tree mortality is a huge issue in the Sierra Nevada. And generally, with these challenges individually, a healthy tree has the ability to overcome a stressor. It's the combination of these multiple interacting stressors that are causing our trees to struggle and die. So Tahoe's forests are in better shape than most other forests in the Sierra Nevada. And that's due to an active fuels reduction project that's happening in the basin in the form of prescribed burn and forest thinning. It's this effort coupled with our individual effort to become fire smart that is going to be essential to making Tahoe's forest better equipped to handle mortality and also limit the probability of having a catastrophic wildfire. Thanks so much for joining me today. Hope you learned something about forest mortality in the Tahoe Basin.
Named the King of Conifers by John Muir, probably due to its tall stature, the sugar pine tree is the most iconic pine tree in the Tahoe Basin and the Sierra Nevada. Most people recognize this white pine by their humongous cones, which can grow up to 20 inches and are the largest cones of any pine trees. You can also identify them by their crown, the top of the tree, which is full of extremely large asymmetrical branches that generally bend at the tips, heavy with the weight of those huge hanging pine cones. Sugar pine trees experience mortality in large parts of the Tahoe Basin during the intense 5-year drought period between 2012 and 2016. It is no coincidence that the drought coincided with an increasing population of mountain pine beetles, whose population numbers peaked in 2016. UCDAVIS researchers found that the primary causes of mortality were drought, stress, and bark beetles. Under the attack of bark beetles, the pine trees that are healthy can effectively use sap to push or pitch out the beetle before it enters too far. But if the tree has been wrestling with years of drought, or if the forests have been overcrowded for space, water, and sunlight, the tree will more likely lack the resources to provide enough sap to pitch out the beetle successfully. Several different bark beetles are responsible for the high rate of pine mortality in the Sierra Nevada range. They discover a stressed out, vulnerable pine and then release chemicals known as pheromones that attract more beetles to aid in the attack. After killing this tree and leaving a brood of young bark beetles, they will move on to find another tree, eventually leaving a trail of dead trees in their wake. With such a significant loss of our magnificent sugar pine trees, scientists and advocates alike have sought to repopulate sugar pines into our forest. There are potential ecological and evolutionary consequences of this human intervention, including shifts in composition, structure, and diversity. So it's a good thing that the UCDAVIS scientists are being extremely careful of their selection. Thanks for joining me today.
So the UCDAVIS Forest and Ecology Lab uses ecological and genetic approaches to promote forest health and resiliency. So they're looking at things like plant traits, as well as the influence of the surrounding environment and the resulting evolutionary processes. So what does that all mean? To really set this up, you need to think about how we get our characteristics. In the same way that you may have inherited your mom's green eyes, or perhaps you've inherited your dad's tall stature, his height. Plants can also pass on traits similar to their progeny or their baby trees. So we are targeting trees that display these adaptive traits that are necessary for survival, in hopes that our selected trees are better able to withstand the many challenges of our currently changing climate and the related impacts. And this is just one solution to confront the large loss of sugar pines. We reforest stands with trees specifically selected due to their proven resilience against bark beetle outbreaks. So basically, in a stand of dead trees, we're looking for the ones that are still standing. We're looking for the survivors. So, September 2017, TERC's Forest and Ecology Lab collected from a diverse seed source across the north shore of Lake Tahoe. And these seeds were germinated, and some seedlings were planted in the basin, and others currently reside in our lath house in the Tahoe City Field Station, where they are being monitored and evaluated for their selected plant traits. The thousands of seedlings that were planted around the Tahoe Basin will theoretically promote forest resiliency because these baby trees are the progeny of drought survivors and are more likely to persist in our changing and uncertain climate. Darwin's theory summarizes it best. Everybody's heard of survival of the fittest. In this case, the strongest trees have survived, and the key to their survival is in their genes. So thanks so much for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you around the healthy forests.